Hello, everyone, and welcome to Layer by Layer, the show about the 3D printing industry and our place inside of it. Today, we're going to be talking about a wrench, certain parts of human history, and our new Etsy integration, not to mention some of the stuff that we're doing with GPTs right now. So just stay tuned in for that. But first of all, everybody, I just wanted to say, this is the best flipping time in human history. If you're having a bad day here, just remember, this is the best possible time in human history, bar none. Yesterday was worse than today. 10 years ago was terrible. 50 years ago was horrible. And 100 years ago, I don't know why we existed. It is so fantastic to be alive today. We have computers in our pockets that are more powerful than the supercomputers that put people on the moon at the time. We have on those computers in our pockets, we have an AI assistant that we can talk to. It understands and it responds. And our biggest gripe with that is that sometimes it hallucinates a little bit or doesn't know everything perfectly, even though it knows almost everything just fine. We have access to the entire record of human history and human knowledge for free. For free. Also, by the way, that AI assistant that gives you access to intelligence, an intelligent, almost human, you pay for that maximum $20 a month. But it also, you can get it for free. But it's a slightly slower, jankier version. Oh no. But it's able to write full essays to such a degree that high school students are able to cheat on them and that kind of thing. This is fantastic. We are at a time in history where food is so plentiful that human hunger is at the lowest ever, and in certain societies, obesity is the problem. That is such an inversion from history where starvation was a very real occurrence all the time. We are in a world where many people have houses. Most people have houses. We are in a world where we have the lowest death from war ever in human history, and it's continuing to decline. Now, certainly, there is plenty of things that hype up the actions inside of the world, and there's no reason to ever consider ourselves to be complacent or to say that we're perfect. We're not perfect. But we are so much better than any other time in human history. Your doctor doesn't put leeches on you. Your doctor doesn't smoke a cigarette while he's doing your physical. The doctors actually kind of know. And again, they have an AI in their pocket that can now help them figure out what that mole is on you. You can get to a doctor. You're not going to die of gangrene. They're not going to try to wave a wand over you to try to get you fixed. They actually know that there are germs inside of them. We have decoded the genome of these germs, and we're able to reprogram them. We have the largest rocket in history being built by a private company that is meant to take people to Mars and make it cost effective to go into space. We have access to the internet anywhere on the planet effectively. You are able to call your grandmother at any moment. You are able to call someone on the other side of the planet, again, for free. In much of the world, people are able to participate in the rest of the world. This is the best time in human history. This is just fantastic. Right now, for us, there is a technology that allows somebody to make an order on a website, and that item is grown out of thin air and then delivered to them in a couple of days, as if it was pulled from a warehouse. If it is pulled from the warehouse, you're able to have an item delivered to you in one day. My goodness, this is fantastic. Again, the world is not perfect, but my goodness, it really is awesome. We just need to make ourselves more awesomer. This is such a great time in human history. There is less death from disease, death from starvation, child mortality. There are fewer stupid diseases out there in the world. Polio doesn't exist anymore. Education is more accessible than ever, both through the internet and through people just recognizing the value of it. We are creating fantastic things that were freaking magic, literal magic, as much as 20 years ago. 20 years ago, you people watching this video right now on a device that remains powered for 24 hours and connected to the world, 15 years ago, that device was black and white with like a 100-pixel display that could show the numbers you were dialing on the physical button keyboard. 15 years ago. 15 years ago looks like another world, a different planet from what it is today. It's so fantastic. And technology has done this for us. The innovation of the world has done this. And the fact that we've become so connected, people are able to share ideas in a more important kind of a way. We are able to communicate about politics and current events and that kind of stuff instantaneously so we know what it is. We are able to see the reality from video immediately. There is so many incredible things that exist today. Human rights are in the best state ever. Again, not perfect, but it never will be. Humanity is not perfect. That is part of our fallen nature. But we can get better. And everything is getting better. Everything is getting better. There's always little dips along the way. It doesn't matter. Look at the history of humanity. 5,000 years ago, we were wandering around in mud huts. 100 years ago, your grandparents went to school barefoot, or they were behind on a horse and buggy on a vehicle pulled by horses in order to get from one place to another. And if you traveled 10 miles in a day, it was a big deal because there were like no roads. Your grandparents lived this life. There are people alive today who were alive during the Great Depression when there were no jobs. They simply did not exist. Today, a single industry, industrial manufacturing, has 10 million open available jobs that pay more than $60,000 a year. And they are just sitting there and there is no one to take them. There is a gluttony of opportunity compared to any time in history. It's not a shortage. It is more bountiful than it could possibly ever be, to such a degree that people are able to be picky. You're able to choose your career. 150 years ago, if your dad was a shoe cobbler, you became a shoe cobbler because that's what you were. You were the cobbler's son. Now you get to go to college and decide what your career is going to be. You get to try stuff out. You get to move in between jobs and be very secure that there will be another job there available for you. You were able to switch and change and try stuff. Here's another thing. People are worried. Have existential worry today for some reason. I don't know why. Your parents would practice in school for a nuclear bomb to be dropped. Think about that. It wasn't some existential, 2 degrees will increase and the world will be warmer and that kind of stuff. It wasn't this ephemeral monster. It was a very clear threat that at any moment a bomb could drop and not just warm up the area to where heat stroke was a problem. No, just obliterate everyone, incinerate every moment, and the world would end in a couple of hours. This was the reality 50 years ago. Just 50 years ago, less than a human lifetime. That was the existential threat at that time. Global warming? Number one, we have that solved. If we wanted to solve global warming, all we have to do is, build nuclear reactors and they produce all the power that we could ever need. That problem is solved. It is really just a problem of human will to actually go and do it. It's not an issue, whereas that was an indeterminate that would end the world instantly. Whereas the things that we're worried about today are so untouchable and unimportant and unscary compared to that. It's not Nazis goose-stepping across your border. There are not armies giant armies fighting against each other. There are so many better things now. There is not the existential threat of the entire world being obliterated in an instant, which became possible at that time and was very, very real at that time. There has not been an economic downturn to such a degree to where people are wandering around the world going to soup kitchens. There is, again, lots of stuff that we can improve, but my goodness, guys, it is so much better than it used to be. To not just be freaking amazed at how awesome the world is to just miss out, because it's so good right now, especially if you are watching this video. If you are watching this video, you are one of the most blessed humans in human history. You have a device that gives you access to this video to listen to some guy talk about how great the world is. Do you have any idea how special and lucky you are by the fact that you're watching this? It's absolutely incredible. And this is the best time in human history. And most of the time, when we do these kind of talks, it's just we're whining about something, and all of us have plenty of things to whine about, and everybody's the coffee was too cold or whatever else it was, all the first world problems. And by the way, if you are watching this video, you are a person with first world problems. You don't get to complain about anything because you are in the best possible position in human history. You should not complain about anything. You're not worrying about the plague. You're not worrying about the Great Depression when there is no work anywhere. You are not having to worry about nuclear annihilation. You're worried that 20 years from now, it might be a little bit warmer. And then you're going to go drive 10 miles to go get your custom-made coffee and go to your job in an air-conditioned building. Enjoy your life. This is fantastic. This is the most exceptional time in human history. And what's even better is that historically, we have continuously gotten better, which means that looking forward, things are very likely going to continue to get better. It takes a lot of work. It takes people inventing new things and doing cool stuff, but people are allowed to do that now. This is why this is such a fantastic time. To cut it right there. That's it. Because I was having this discussion with a number of different people, and it's like everybody always goes and starts whining about their day. It's freaking amazing right now. Everything about your day is great. The minor inconveniences that we have are just silly because the world is so fantastic right now. Freaking pandemic. We had a pandemic. Oh no, people had to stay home and watch Netflix for a year and a half. Oh no. If that had happened 10 years before, the world would have just burned because there was no Netflix and nothing for people to do, and people would have been locked in. The pandemic wouldn't have happened. The lockdowns wouldn't have been feasible. It's like, just everything about the world is better. Everything about it. You can look at every possible statistic, from human rights to health to disease to war. All of those stats are better. Anyhow, see, hope that's a pick you up here today when this goes out. That's just, because it's really great. Kind of side note about this thing. This is a really cool thing that I just wanted to talk about on the podcast because we don't have a place for it anywhere else. My brother runs an industrial fabrication shop, and he likes to find old tools and stuff. And he gave me, or let me borrow this old pipe wrench from him. And if you've seen a modern pipe wrench, they generally have a screw down here that screws it up and down to tighten it up. But that's super irritating. This thing was made in 1904 is the stamp on this. This is 1904. Number one, super heavy, well made. They don't make them like they used to, yada, yada. But this has this little tab down here that pushes this, locks it in, or allows you, wait a second, there we go. You can either break it free right there or lock it right in right there, and it stays like that. And basically what this is they have effectively a threaded nut right here that is flat on both sides so that it pops into free right around here, and then those teeth engage the threads inside of here. And this is basically a long threaded hole inside of here that matches the threads and the flat. And this was like the favorite thing I saw that day because everything about it is beautiful. I love this so much because number one, that is so clever and satisfying to have it just work that well. And the fact that it was made 120 years ago is super satisfying because this is a very complex thing. And everybody thinks about everybody back in the 1920s as like some kind of a caveman. But this is really complex stuff, and this is something you'd use to put a Model T together. But this is really good, if not better, than the stuff that we make today. Everything about it is just a beautiful thing, and the design is super clever, and it's just a great thing. And it's 120 years old and still works that well. Like, you wouldn't know that this doesn't work. It didn't need to have to be greased or anything else. It just had to be kept dry. And it's such a nifty device. But this mechanical stuff, people don't know how to make this anymore. This is knowing how to cast this part and the pieces of this part, because it has a number of cast pieces. And then this inner core piece appears to also be cast. It actually looks like it was sand casted and then machined down. And then this upper armature presses into a hole. They have a pin through there to hold it in, but it doesn't jiggle and it's not loose. So it's a press fit and a retaining pin, which is all great. And then this little mechanism, which is so simple, but so often does not exist in modern tools, even though it's something that's really useful, is just a fantastic thing. If you're someone like a kid or someone who's looking for going into like mechanical engineering, which I recommend. I'm a mechanical engineer. I think it's pretty good. Mechanical engineering or machining or making stuff, do look at the old stuff. Look at things like blacksmithing and that kind of thing, because you will learn so much that is actually as useful as the stuff you'll learn in engineering school, but has practical applications. Like blacksmiths, metallurgists, those guys were creating materials that engineers only understood about 70 years ago. Like the action of blacksmithing like a sword and a blade is very well understood and is hundreds of years old, thousands of years old. But understanding the mechanisms for why you heat it up, beat it, and then heat it up again, and then quench it, and then heat it up again, that process was learned through experimentation, but no one really understood the chemical processes until pretty darn recently, where we learned about, you take it martensitic, and then you turn it around, and then you anneal it, and so on and so forth. All those things were not understood, but builders knew that it worked long before engineers came along and explained it. But they were able to make really good stuff long before that. Anyhow, I wanted to talk about the wrench. Okay, things that we're working on. The Etsy app. We are going to release, the Etsy app is released. A few people have had questions about this. The Etsy app, if you signed up and you've got your parts matched and everything else, people have asked about qualification parts. You can check all of our parts on our website, photos of images and pieces that we produce and printed at 0.2 resolution. I mean, we have quite a bit of documentation about that around there. Or look at the 0.2 resolution parts on our YouTube videos, all that kind of thing. But if you want to qualify your part, you have to order a part from yourself. That's the only way to really do it, is create the listing and add it into Etsy. Also, if you're an international Etsy seller, as in like you're based in the UK, but you want to sell in the US, we recently released a video explaining how to do that. You basically create a different shipping profile and connect it to those product listings that appear inside the States. That way, people inside the States can purchase your item. And if you create those different purchase profiles, the items that can ship to the US will only appear in the US, and the items that ship in the UK will only ship in the UK. So you have two listings, and the listings that sell in the US come to us, and the listings that you sell in like the UK go to you. That way you can effectively teleport your products over into the States here, especially during the Christmas season, without having to pay international shipping. So your customers get a cheaper item, they get it faster, and you save more cost and they save more cost. Everybody's happy because you get to just access a print farm over here remotely and have your parts grown over here inside the States and delivered to your end customers. But if you want to verify the part, you have to have it printed off and shipped to you. That's the only way to do it. Or trust the fact that we've been in business for quite a while and make pretty decent parts. So that's with that. The Etsy app does run on our new API. Our API will be coming out here very soon. What's really cool about it is that as part of the documentation, we're going to be training a GPT on it. The documentation for the API is going to be really quite extensive. We're going to show the full creation of a new POD app so that if you want to start from scratch, you know everything from scratch of how to use it. We will have a GPT explaining how to use it that you can just talk to that will be publicly available. The documentation itself, we're trying to make decently interactive so that it's just as easy as possible to interact with the API. So that's pretty much it, guys. Those are the things that we got going on. Try out the Etsy app. If you're getting behind during the Christmas season, try plugging it in. Can't hurt you none. It's worth a shot here and might actually save you some time and help you increase sales and prevent you from going on vacation. Other than that, comment down below other topics that you want us to cover and be checking back because we post videos a few times a week. Have a great day, everybody.